This is one of those stories that starts in a tiny, unassuming town in Kansas, but it ends up right at the very heart of American democracy. It's about a local newspaper, a police raid that went way, way too far, and a fight for press freedom that cost millions of dollars and a life.
Get this. These were among the last defiant words of Joan Meyer. She was 98 years old, the co-owner of the local paper, and she's standing in her own home, watching as police are just rifling through her belongings. She was shocked, she was stressed, but you know what? She was not intimidated.
And it turns out she couldn't have been more right. The trouble that followed that raid, well, it sent shockwaves far, far beyond Marion, Kansas.
So how in the world did a small town in the middle of Kansas become a national flashpoint for freedom of the press? Let's break down exactly what happened.
It all just unfolded incredibly fast. In August 2023, the Marion County Record was doing what local papers are supposed to do. They were looking into the background of their new police chief, a guy named Gideon Cody. Then, on August 11th, the police department, led by that same chief, raids the paper's newsroom and the publisher's home. They seized computers, cell phones, everything. And then, the very next day, Joan Meyer, who was described as being stressed beyond her limits by the raid, collapsed and died.
Now, you'd think to raid a newspaper, of all places, the police would need a pretty rock-solid, airtight reason, right? Well, that's where this story takes a really sharp turn.
Okay, so officially, on paper, the search warrants were for an investigation into so-called identity theft. A local business owner had accused the paper of illegally getting her driving record. But to pretty much everyone looking at this, it seemed like a really flimsy excuse. The real reason, they suspected, was that the police chief wanted to shut down the newspaper that was digging into his past. But here's the unbelievable part. The newspaper got a tip, they didn't even ask for it, about a local restaurateur's DUI. The reporters did their job and legally verified it on a public state website. But then they decided, you know what, this isn't really newsworthy, and they chose not to publish it. They even did the responsible thing and alerted the police. And their reward for all of this? A full-blown raid on their newsroom. It's just wild.
Look, this wasn't just a local police department overreacting. Legal experts all over the country immediately saw this raid for what it was, a flagrant violation of some of our most basic American laws.
It all starts with the big one, right? The First Amendment. Its whole point is to stop government officials from using their power to intimidate a press that's being critical of them. This is literally textbook First Amendment stuff.
Then you've got the Fourth Amendment, which protects all of us against unreasonable searches. But when it comes to newsrooms, the Supreme Court has been crystal clear. The standards for a search have to be, and I'm quoting here, scrupulously followed. That means judges can't just rubber stamp a warrant, they have to be incredibly strict.
And hey, if there was still any doubt, Congress made it crystal clear back in 1980 with the Privacy Protection Act. This federal law is basically a special shield for journalists. It makes raids like the one in Marion illegal. Police are flat out forbidden from using search warrants to seize reporting materials, except in a few very, very narrow circumstances that just didn't apply here.
So that law creates what's called the subpoena first rule. It's a kind of legal firewall. Instead of a surprise raid, police are supposed to issue a subpoena. This gives the newspaper a chance to go to court and fight it, letting a judge decide if the request is legit before the police ever set foot inside. This entire legal process was completely and totally ignored.
So what happens when law enforcement just ignores the Constitution? Well, in Marion County, it came with a massive, massive price tag.
$3 million. That's the amount Marion County agreed to pay to settle the federal civil rights lawsuits filed by the newspaper and its staff. And let me tell you, for a small rural county, that is a staggering sum of money.
And here's a look at where that money went. A full $1 million to the estate of Joan Meyer, the woman who died the day after the raid. Hundreds of thousands to the reporters whose lives were turned upside down, and even to a city council member who was also targeted. The publisher, Eric Meyer, he said it was never about the money. It was about making sure the next official who even thinks about raiding a newsroom understands the consequences are measured in millions.
Along with the money, there was a formal, written apology. And in it, the sheriff's office put it in black and white, admitting the raid likely wouldn't have happened if they had simply followed established law. That is a stunning admission of failure.
Now, it would be easy to just dismiss all this as some bizarre, one-off story from a small town, but the lessons from the Marion County Record's fight, they have huge implications for all of us, no matter where we live.
The publisher Eric Meyer really said it best. The press is supposed to be the watchdog, right? It keeps an eye on people in power. But if those same powerful people can just attack the watchdog without any consequences, well, the whole system of accountability just completely falls apart.
Ultimately, what happened in Marion is a huge wake-up call for everyone. It proves that an attack on even the smallest local paper is a threat to our right to be informed. It shows that ignoring the law carries a staggering cost, both in dollars and in public trust. And above all, it's a powerful reminder that local journalism isn't just a business, it is absolutely essential to a functioning democracy.
And that leaves us with this final thought to chew on. If the press is supposed to watch over those in power, who's supposed to protect the press when it comes under attack? The story of the Marion County Record shows that sometimes they have to do it themselves, with the law, and hopefully with the public watching their back.